going back to what opportunities are currently available at UPS and how we're able to integrate lots of different jobs at the same time. Fun fact about UPS and some of the fun jobs that I've seen and that are available. We talked about the marine biologists. I had an opportunity to see and work with our team that actually houses our lobster spa. Anybody like marine animals? Yeah. So we have a lobster spa. Who knew? Mind blown. We bring in lobster that someone might eat at a table. And of course, they have to get from the ocean to your restaurant, to your table. And in order to not scare the lobster, we have to bring them in and we house them in this beautiful lobster spa of water to keep them calm while they're in transit. And we have this wonderful marine biology staff that comes in and really kind of hangs out with the lobsters, keeps the lobster calm, because it actually affects the taste of the lobster at your table if they are stressed out and they are manic. So it's really an interesting role. I had the opportunity to join HR where I found my home. And I think one of the things I would like to share is that sometimes when we go through our journey, when we go through our career paths, we may not always know the destination in the beginning. And I think it's important for everyone to kind of explore that. I did not know I was going to end up in HR. I thought my career path was going to be in finance and accounting. I had an opportunity to join HR in the community relations capacity and employee systems, and it changed everything. I developed a passion for talent, which I work in currently in HR planning, working with all of our teams to navigate what current talent we have, how do we manage their careers, how do we identify promotion opportunities, how do we place folks in the right positions at the right time when they're ready to move our business forward, and how do we strategize? How do we strategize for our HR function and make our function move forward? One of my favorite components is watching the diverse ideas that we have as a team come together. We talked a lot about, I know you guys have spoken a lot about diversity in your recent events and your previous meetings. One of the things that I absolutely love about UPS is the broad spectrum of thoughts, experiences, ideas, innovative components that really come together to deliver a strategy. I know that we talk a lot about, our head, heart, and hands leadership model. How do we lead with all three of those components to move something forward? And watching us be able to bring top talent in from schools just like yours, starting from the high school level and watching young, gifted, talented students come in and rise through the ranks, similarly to Charlene, who started in our operations. She started with loading, unloading, package car driving, all of those things, and she's now risen to be the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. So many different roles and components make up what we do, but in HR, we are all about people and making sure we are creating safe, welcoming, inclusive, diverse spaces for our workforce. And it's a really exciting thing to see a room full of young, intelligent, wonderful women coming to learn and embrace diverse perspectives. This is an amazing opportunity for each of you to learn about some of these careers and really engage. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about everyone else that's here on the call. But from an HR perspective, that's what we do. We are talent scouts. We want to know who our talent is, what they're capable of, what they enjoy, and really place them in opportunities that enable them to be successful. And I know I've said quite a mouthful. Do you guys have any questions about anything that I've said thus far? Any questions on human resources, UPS, diversity and inclusion at UPS?
So I have a question, Jahna. This is Anita. So I know a few people that work at UPS, and maybe it's a little, maybe you can share with the students the history of staff who have started at UPS as a UPS driver. They've delivered packages to our doors, and they have worked through the ranks, and now they're CEO, they're president, or they're, you know, they're senior executive C-suite level folks?
Yeah, that's a great, great question. And historically, we have always had a culture of promotion from within. What does that mean? That means we try to build our leadership teams from those that are currently in the company. So yes, we've had several CEOs who have started as unloaders. They're unloading and loading packages out of tractor trailers in package cars. They are delivering packages to your door, and they've taken the step to join the management ranks and climb up from everything from finance and accounting, industrial engineering, marketing, sales. We saw Kate Gutman on that previous screen. Kate started her career within an operation, and she worked her way up through sales. Her primary role in the company was our chief sales officer until recently. She accepted additional responsibilities in international and supply chain. But so many great leaders started that way, and the majority of our leaders started that way. They didn't all start, for example, with Carol, who came in from a C-suite job into another C-suite job. She did sit on our board, so she was familiar, but you'll see a great majority of folks who have started at UPS have climbed and have built their career kind of from entry level to C-suite. And it's really an exciting thing to watch because their perspective of the company is so thorough and engaged that they're really able to drive impact and make decisions that are based on all of that experience.
Okay, great. And so we have a couple of questions in the chat box for you. Do you hold any HR certification? I'm personally a postgrad and employed within the financial industry, but I want to continue growing my HR career. Any guidance on this? And what would be the suggested major in college?
Yeah, great, great questions. So do I hold a professional in HR certification? Currently, I do not. I did not get my degree in HR, which is kind of the beauty of some of what we do here at UPS. While it is a great degree to have, I studied business and Spanish when I was in undergrad. I got my MBA. But no, I don't hold a certification. And the beauty of UPS, one of the things that we try to do within our function is be inclusive of all backgrounds, right? Regardless of what your role is within HR, we want you to be a business partner, a business person. So holding a degree in finance will always be beneficial because the reality of it is we deal with the budget, we deal with money, we deal with all of these things. And we are very inclusive of other experiences, other specialties, and injecting that talent because we want those diverse perspectives. Looking to grow your career in HR, a certification is always welcomed. It's always something, a great tool to have in your pocket of knowledge of the function of the work that you're looking to do. Any guidance, skills, or tips, go for it. Simply go for it. Step out, look for that opportunity, talk to other people in the industry, reach out to those that you're connected to. There's such a huge group on this call that I'm sure anyone would be willing to give you some insight and tips and tricks on how to get your foot possibly in the door, how to start that conversation. But my best advice for that is to go for it. Apply for those opportunities, put yourself out there and state your reasons why. What would be the suggested majors in college? I would say that if you're looking for a career in HR, top degrees would probably be business, HR, project management is absolutely essential. Psychology is a great major if you're going to go into the HR field. Any type of organizational effectiveness degree is also a really great field to go into if you want to join the HR function. But really just those that enable you to be a better business partner. You don't have to necessarily specialize in HR. I do recommend taking courses in HR just to get your mind wrapped around what it is that we do. But an actual degree is not completely necessary. However, not great.
So I think, yeah. Maybe I think we'll move forward. Daniela, we'll come back and we'll have a chance to answer more questions at the end. So that would be great. Daniela?
Yes, thank you, Jahna. Thank you so much. That was great. I'm now happy to introduce Ms. Catherine Bone Muir, the CEO of the WSeries, which is an all-female single-seater racing championship. Their first season ran in 2019. The WSeries was born at Catherine's dining table, a lifelong motorsport fan with treasured childhood memories of watching racing on television. Catherine wanted women to be afforded the same opportunity. The ultimate goal is to have a woman compete in the Championship Formula One Grand Prix. In 2021, the WSeries entered a new landmark partnership with Formula One and supported the world's premier motor racing series at 7 Grand Prix weekends. Please welcome Catherine.
Okay, I can now unmute. Hello, everyone. It's just an enormous pleasure to speak to you all. You may wonder why some British girl older woman, is speaking to you from halfway around the world. Well, as has just been said, I run a women's motor racing series, but we're coming to race in Miami in a couple of weeks' time. It's the first time that Formula One has ever raced in Miami. It's the first time that, therefore, WSeries has ever done so, and we're unbelievably excited about that. But I'm here to speak about, careers. I'm not here to speak about being CEO of a women's world motor racing championship and how you do that. This may sound a little bit arrogant, but there is only one CEO of a women's motor racing championship. That's because there's only one women's motor racing championship in the world at the moment. So it was never something that I had the remotest idea when I was thinking about what I was going to do with my life that I ever would have dreamed that I would have ended up here. I had 2 older brothers and an older sister, and this is relevant for my career because I had 2 brothers who were really close in age with me. One was 11 months older than me and the other was 18 months older than that. And the reason why that is relevant is because I fought and argued with them throughout my childhood. And therefore, I was just generally argumentative, but could back my own corner. And when I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do as a career, when I went to university, I thought, well, I may as well study law because that's about argument, isn't it? So I ended up studying law because basically I used to fight with my brothers. I studied law, I qualified as a lawyer. I still didn't really know why I was being a lawyer. And my greatest passion in life was sport, playing and watching all different sorts of sports. So I thought, I'll become a sports lawyer because at least that's something I'm interested in. Cue to everyone, whatever you do in your career, do something that you are interested in and you think you're going to be passionate about, because that will make you good at it. Because if you're bored at it, you'll be rubbish at it, and then you'll go in a downward spiral, not enjoying your job, etc., etc. But a few years into that, I realized that I didn't want to become a partner in a law firm. And then I thought, well, if I don't want to reach the top of that particular career, it's pointless staying in something that you don't feel as though you want to be in forever. So I moved over to sports marketing, which was all about, sponsorship within sport. And I worked in that for 2 or 3 years, and I even got bored of that. And that was because I thought the work was quite repetitive. And the one good thing about the law is that every different client produces a different set of circumstances, and it keeps you very interested because there are always new stories put in front of you. So when I realized that sports marketing wasn't the perfect job for me, I thought, well, what on earth am I going to do? And then someone asked me to go into corporate finance, into banking. And corporate finance basically is advising companies on being bought and being sold and floating on the stock exchange. Now, on one hand, the way I've just described it, it sounds as boring as it comes. But actually, because of my background, I was advising sports and leisure organizations. So I was, involved in the buying and selling of football clubs in the UK, or soccer clubs as you call them, in the UK, advising agents, just doing a whole variety of different sorts of work in the area that I loved, which was sport. And also it turned out that I loved the deals. So I love the excitement of deals happening, of companies being bought and companies being sold. So finally, I really found as though that I believe that I found my niche. And I spent 15 years working in banking in this environment and absolutely loved every single minute of it. Now, this environment is quite tough for people, who want to have a family. And I didn't get married till very late in life. And I didn't have a child until, go on, put on the chat how old you think I was when I had a child. I'll give you a clue, I was really old. So any guesses on how old I was? If I can see, no one's being 44, no, 40s, yes. 45, yes, someone said 45. I was 45 when I had my first and only child. So well done, that person who said that. And at that point, nothing was more important to me. And I just gave up work, and I've been very professionally orientated all my career, and I had absolutely no interest in it. The only interest that I had was a child. When my son was 3, I really was starting to get itchy feet and thought, I love my son. He is obviously the most important thing in my life. Obviously my husband is too, don't forget my husband. But what I do actually want to do something else. And broadly, I knew I didn't want to be an advisor anymore. I'd been a banker and a lawyer, and I had no interest in doing that. So the big question was, when you're sort of 48 years old, is what on earth do you do if you know you don't want to do what you did before? I just had this great sense I wanted to work in sport. And it was just by complete coincidence at that time when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my career. I went out with a couple of friends of mine, and they said, what about a women's only motor racing championship? And literally it started from an idea was mentioned to me in a bar by a couple of friends. And then because of my background, I sort of theoretically knew how to write a business plan, but I had a big problem. And the big problem was, how do you raise the money? Because you actually need about $30 million just to get to the grid to do this. And on the back of an idea, and I had no experience in motorsport at all, why was anyone ever going to give me $30 million when I didn't know how to run a motor racing championship? So it took me 2 years to raise the money. You never do anything on your own in business. It's all about the team. Unfortunately, I was introduced to some really extraordinary people who were really experienced in motorsport. And they came around and they gave me some credibility so I could go out and sort of pretend a little bit more. I knew what I was talking about, but actually no one had ever set a women's motor racing championship up before. So actually we could make our own rules because no rules had ever been made before. So I walked the streets for a couple of years trying to raise money, obviously failed quite a lot. After 18 months, I said to my husband, I'm really giving this up. I've spent 18 months of my life trying to raise the money. I haven't done this. If I spend another year doing this, therefore I may waste 2.5 years of my life doing this. So actually I'm going to stop. And it was my husband who said to me, don't you dare, you have come so far, you may not have the money yet. You've got great people around you and it's a good idea because of the reaction that people get. But, this was in probably about 2017. people were still saying, Catherine, it's a really, really good idea, but no one is interested in female sport, and no one watches female sport. And actually, generally, for viewing figures of sport around the world, that was generally true. The world was basically watching sport and men doing sport. The only real exception is tennis. But then Billie Jean King, 50 years ago, started fighting the fight for women in tennis. And over the decades, Billie Jean got parity. And she was my great inspiration to me to say, well, someone's got to do that fight for women in motorsport, because there aren't any women in motorsport. And, I want to start a revolution so that women have equal parity in motorsport. As many women are racing in motorsport, but also to demonstrate that women can be engineers in motorsport, women can be mechanics. There's absolutely no reason in the world why women can't do all of these jobs that have always traditionally been male. I'm probably going to have to wrap up now to questions, aren't I? Because I know I've gone on for a bit longer. Sorry, once I start, it's very difficult for me to stop. But just to say, where we are now is that I have this really extraordinary team around me. We are on our racing side. It still is predominantly men, but we had one race last year where we had half of our engineers were women, which was really extraordinary. We're trying very hard to get more female mechanics in, but I'm delighted to say that in our London office, that is the commercial office, where sort of me, the management, the lawyers, the accountants, the marketers, the social and digital people, 90% of the people who work in our London office are female. So I'm really delighted the fact that we are a female sport, but we, the majority of people in the business are women too. So it's all about women supporting women. So I'm going to shut up now. So sorry, I know I do chat on a bit, and I'd be delighted to take questions.
That's fine, Catherine, no problem. No, we're very excited to hear about your program and your initiative and how it was founded, and also very interested to hear how our young women going through high school now can start to dream about, they can be a mechanic, they can work, in the paddock, as you call it, right? And supporting the drivers, and who knows, they could maybe one day dream to be a driver also, right? So you just never know how that, and I love the story of how the idea was founded, talking to some friends, and it's great.
Yeah, but also one thing that, and Jahna mentioned this too, is that careers aren't always what you necessarily expect them to be. So I think my advice to everyone here, sorry, my dog's outside, so is now barking, she wants to be let in. So, so that is me, is whatever you think that where your career is going to start. I think my advice is always, as I said, do what you love and what you enjoy and what you're interested in. And you have absolutely no idea where that career will take you, and that pathway will take you. I think it's like a tree, and it just grows and it blossoms, and hopefully that you can go, always follow the path that you want to, that you think is going to be, the best for you personally.
Yeah.
And we do, and just the stories of some of our drivers are really incredible. So WSeries doesn't ask for any money from any of its drivers. So we fund all the drives for all of our drivers, and our drivers come from 15 different countries from all over the world. And they all have very, very different stories, but they all have stories about hardship and how tough it has been for them to get going when they were younger, especially in an environment where it wasn't ever expected for a girl to be racing in racing cars. I think that is changing. That has changed an awful lot in the last few years. And I think, WSeries has helped that change in perception. But I think there are still some, still the mechanics in racing series are still 99% male. And I feel as though that is the last bastion of that, that we need to knock down and help change perceptions for young women. So they realize that being a mechanic is a fantastic career. And if you go into racing can be, an adrenaline filled, really, really exciting career too.
Great. Okay, great. Well, we look forward to hosting you in Miami very soon. We hopefully look forward to meeting you in person, some of us from Women of Tomorrow. And I know that we have a number of students who will be taking a field trip to the stadium. Thanks to the Miami Dolphins and the WSeries who we've been working with the last month or two. And so we're super excited, and really thank you, Catherine. Thanks for taking time to be with us this morning. Certainly opens up a new opportunity, a new perspective, and some new ideas for our students. And for that, we're very grateful. So thank you very much.
It's been a real privilege to be here. Thanks very much, Anita.
Yeah, thank you. Look forward to meeting you in person. Okay, great. So it's my pleasure now to introduce to you the Director of Constituent Relations from Walmart, Regine Moore. We are indebted to Walmart for their ongoing support of our program. We've been collaborating with Walmart at Women of Tomorrow for a number of years, but certainly the last year or two more so. Regine, it's a privilege to have you here today. Regine is an innovative, transformative thought leader, a relationship builder, a coalition creator, and skilled at developing strategic plans and executing with excellence. Through her work, she leverages a foundation of over 10 years in consumer and multicultural marketing. She believes that empathy, which we all believe in empathy, is the first step to progress and bringing others along with you. So thank you, Regine. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Regine. I'm going to kick it off sort of how others have. If you have questions, comments, put it in the chat. I want this to be as conversational as possible. I'm going to also start off with what I hope you take away, or what I hope to impart to you all, is the power of yes, or even the power of the hesitant okay. Because for me, it's made a difference as it relates to my career and just life in general. So I come from Long Island, New York. The accent kicks in lately only when I'm angry. So you probably won't hear it today because I'm really excited. But I kind of see myself a little bit of a Floridian because I actually went to Florida A&M University in Tallahassee. And that was my first step into the yes, let's do this. So when I was thinking about where to go to school, I had a mentor who was telling me about Florida A&M and their SBI program and their 5-year MBA program. I had never lived away from home, especially for life, Rattler for life. I had never moved away from home for that extent of time. I had done different summer programs and things of that nature. But the thought of being away from my dad and my church was just very foreign to me. But I took the leap. I said, okay, let's do this. And for me, it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And it was from that I learned the power of community. I learned the power of being in a place where everyone around me was in the same point in life and getting to know something more about myself that I never knew. While I was in school, I thought I wanted to be an accountant. There was something magical about the connection of numbers and how it made sense and how there had to be a solution. There was a right and a wrong. I realized after a couple of years that I am not an accountant. I the creative side of me. For me, I wasn't able to really bring about as beautifully as I wanted to have it come to life. So I shifted into marketing and started to dig into that. And I realized I really enjoyed this. What I didn't realize is that my definition of marketing was not 100% accurate. So for me, I thought marketing was going to be, I'm going to create these ads and commercials, and I'm going to be, doing all of these things. So when I graduated, I was like, okay, where am I going to go do this marketing thing? And I ended up going, slightly begrudgingly, to Arkansas. I went to Tyson Foods, and this is, as some may call it, the chicken company. Yes, Tyson Foods, but they had a product marketing position. Again, I still thought I was going to be working on ads and doing commercials. But before I go into that, this is the next part of I took the hesitant, okay. As mentioned, I'm from New York. The Long Island, close to the city. I'm taking trains to the city. I'm living that great life of, the hustle and the bustle. And I got this invitation to move to Arkansas. I kid you not. I had to look at a map, and I passed geography. I did great in geography in 5th grade, but I had to look at a map and go, where's Arkansas? What do I know about Arkansas? And I knew 2 things. One was a documentary I saw on HBO, and the other was Bill Clinton. Outside of that, there was nothing I knew about Arkansas. So I was a little terrified because I didn't know anyone. I'm not around any friend circle. This is me, single, figuring it out. But I said, my gut is telling me I need to go. So I did the hesitant okay. And so I got to Tyson Foods and just opened myself up to better understanding product marketing. What does that mean? The research and the learning about the customer. What do they want? What's next? What does innovation in food look like? How do you bring this to life? What is the marketing plan that you have to develop in order to make sense and make sure that the information is relevant to who you're talking to from a customer standpoint, who your customer is compared to the Purdue customer? Where does it overlap? And those were those startup elements to go, who am I talking to? And how do I do that in a really functional, but also profitable way? And so you're looking at your costs and you're looking at your budget, both from a marketing as well as from a product development and implementation standpoint. Going to the plants, I went to chicken plants. Who would have thought the girl from Long Island is going to a chicken plant? But you did, and it's exciting and you learn something new. While there, I was there for about 3 years, and it got to a point for me that I realized I'm not supposed to be here anymore. I'm a big believer that when Sunday night becomes the worst night of the week, it's time to go. And I state that because for me, I didn't want to regret having to wake up on Monday going to work. Life is too short to have to be at a place for days and not enjoy it. And Tyson's a wonderful company. Don't get me wrong. I still love Tyson, but for me, it was time for me to move to my next. And so, again, I'm in Arkansas. In Arkansas is also one of the biggest companies in the world, Walmart. So I said to myself, if I'm in Arkansas and I'm not ready to move yet because I had just gotten married. Yes, I did meet my husband in Arkansas. Never would have thunk it. He's from Trinidad, literally the country. Never would have thunk it. But I said, if I'm gonna be here, let me try to get to Walmart. Because once I leave Arkansas, I'm probably not coming back. So blessedly, I had my manager at Tyson had moved to Walmart, and she was a big champion of me and supporter of me. And she said, you need to come over. And I was like, all right, let's do this. Let's go. And so I applied. The first position that I applied for was in merchandising. I didn't get it. And then I applied for a position in marketing, for category marketing. And so at Walmart, it's category marketing because Walmart doesn't, necessarily make a product. We sell a lot of products. And so I went into category marketing, started in private brands, and it was this big eye opener to what Walmart is, what it can do. So I'm going to ask the question about Walmart. And yes, love wins. We're still married today. He's great. As a show of reactions, how many people use the heart for how many people who've been to Walmart in the last week, and use the thumbs up for how many people went to Walmart in the last month? Just curious how much I'm going to use this little focus group, right? Because I want to understand the leaders of tomorrow, how many people are going to Walmart. Okay, we got some months. Oh, okay, I see a week. Love it, love it. Well, thank you. Thank you for going, and please continue to go back again. But it was such this eye-opener of what going there in 10 minutes, thank you, of what Walmart is and can be. For me, especially in New York, there weren't a lot of Walmarts at the time. So when I went to Tallahassee, like Walmart was the spot. It was the 24-hour, get whatever you want, middle of the night, need to pick me up to eat something, place to go. And so for me, Walmart was just a store though. I didn't think of Walmart as this career. I thought it as, okay, you check out people's products, you collect carts, and then like, it's just like a job that you have. And for some it is. And I think that's completely fine. It's a stop until the next. But Walmart can be a career. And there's many people, I think it was mentioned in talking about UPS, same as happened at Walmart. Doug McMillon, our CEO, started collecting carts. And now he's CEO of the company. Like, I don't think he went into, hey, let me get a job at Walmart thinking one day he'd be CEO. And he is running one of the largest companies in the world. So when I went into category marketing, I started to, again, put plans together, what's needed for the customer. And then it was, okay, I need to shift to something else. And so then I moved to a specific category of beauty. And this is where my world opened up into a multicultural realm. Being a proud Black woman myself, there was this space of seeing not enough of people that look like me and my community when it comes to beauty. And so I really pushed in the marketing work that I did to make sure there was representation in what was being put forward. And I realized that there was power in making sure that customers saw themselves in the work that was taking place. And so I really dove deeper into that space, which also allowed me to be more creative in the color and what does it look like and the fancy, let's call it. And I got excited about that. From there, I then said, there's this piece of learning that I want to get into, which was social media. We're looking back now into circa 2010-ish, isn't that right? Where they were trying to figure out, what are Facebook ads? What do you do with them? How do you make it work? How do you talk to customers? And so I was like, I want to be in the space because I know this is where marketing is headed. No one really knew what the heck we were doing up in social media at the time. You were kind of trying to make it work. But it was exciting to understand what these social companies were doing to connect with the customer and how they were monetizing after it. So there was, Facebook and Instagram had just started. So that was the space. Allow yourselves to think about, what do I want to know? And what is that piece that'll help me in my career, and step into it. I had no clue what I was doing outside of, I know I was one of the first people on Facebook because it was only available to college students at the time, but I didn't know much more than that. But because my track record at work allowed my leadership to see that I'm willing to learn, willing to grow, willing to push forward, they said, hey, you can have this position. And I led the work about all social media for about 2 years. And that was so exciting to develop what are the ads and the posts that are going to put out for Walmart, one of the largest companies in the world. After that, we had reorgs. A reorg is when a company decides to move people around. Sometimes they're no longer with the company, sometimes they're in different positions. And so it was one of those tense times where I was like, okay, what's gonna happen to me? What's next? I was brought into a room with my manager and she says, well, first, good news. You have a job. I said, oh yeah, that's great. I'm happy that I have a job. They said, second news, you're gonna lead multicultural marketing. And I froze. I was terrified. I fully remember thinking, I didn't sign up for this. The last person who had this job was always stressed out. I'm not trying to be stressed. I just had a baby. Like, I'm good. It wasn't a choice. So I went home and I literally had a sick day. You shouldn't have fake sick days, everyone, but I'm being honest here. I had a fake sick day because I needed a mental day to figure out what does that mean for me? And I put my big girl panties on, excuse the language, and I said, okay, Regine, you've been voluntold into this role. It was the hesitant, okay. Do what you can, make of it what you can. Within a year, if it doesn't work out, move on. By the end of that year, I called my manager who had left the company at that time, and I said, thank you. This is one of the best things that ever happened to me that I didn't know I needed and I didn't know I wanted. It grew me as a person more than I ever had imagined. My passion for the work, my love for a community of working with people of color, I didn't realize until I was put into this position. Not to mention, it was fun as heck. I worked with BET, Telemundo, with IW, which is our Asian agency. Like, it was so exciting, the work I was able to do. I did things that I never imagined. Like, slight plug for a moment, I got to meet Oprah, folk. Like, who would have thought me going to Walmart would somehow end up in a room where I could meet Oprah? Like, that's fantastic. And what Walmart, I really appreciate that Walmart doesn't put barriers on, oh, well, you're just a senior manager. They're like, you're doing the work. Okay, do it, right? Like, we believe in you. And a part of that is you have to believe in yourself. And I think for me, one reason why I was so terrified is because that doubt of, can I do this? Am I skilled enough? Am I good enough? Will I embarrass myself? Will you regret making that decision? And it wasn't until like I took that moment to go, nah, you're gonna do this. You're gonna do the best you can. And then at the end of the year, do an evaluation check to go, are you good? Or do you need to pivot? Because pivoting is okay. Hesitant okays are okay. You just have to do something. What's not okay, my opinion only, is freezing and stopping. Don't stop. Like, just do it. And if you don't want it or like it, shift. What's the worst that could happen? You learn a few things, you meet a few things, you meet Oprah. Hey, then you move on. Like, it's great. And so for that, take it and like embrace that, because being uncomfortable is not a bad thing. Being uncomfortable means that you grew, right? Being uncomfortable at the gym means that you just got a little toner on that good bicep. Like, that's what that means. And so like, let's tone our biceps. Let's like work on whatever about us we hope to have. Let's get uncomfortable. So, okay, I'm trying to hurry because I know I'm running out of time. So then I did the multicultural marketing, did some amazing things. Happy to talk to any of you all about any of that world at a later time. And then I got to the point where I was like, it's time for me to shift. I'm not enjoying this like I used to. I'm passionate. I still love it. I still love working with people of color. I still love sorry, I'm going to digress for a moment. A part of being, for me, a Black woman at work, there's always this hesitancy of how much to speak up, because sometimes you get, or you think that you're having this stigma of being the angry or passionate Black woman, when actually you're just giving facts, right? It's not about being more passionate or aggressive, like you're just giving facts of things. What was so wonderful about my role is that, nah, I'm not passionate for the sake of, you're paying me for this. So I'm at this table telling you X, Y, Z, because that's my role, right? So it was so exciting to have that right, because of the role that I had, right? But there was a point, as much as I was passionate, it was time for me to shift. I just have these feelings. Again, Sunday night was getting a little sketchy, it's time to go. There was this position in corporate affairs called Constituent Relations. And what they do is that they work, it's kind of DE&I work, but it's externally as opposed to working internally with your associates or employees. So there was a position in the Black and African American community where you seek to build trust, you seek to build bridges and relationships in order for them to better understand who Walmart is. More importantly, quite frankly, is for Walmart to better understand what the community needs and what Walmart should be doing to support the community. So today I work with legacy organizations like NAACP. I work with National Urban League, 100 Black Men of America, and then also try to find new organizations. Next week, I'm going to be on a panel with Never Whisper Justice. They did a film called Black Boys. If you haven't seen it, it's great. They're actually thinking about doing one about Black girls as well. And I get to help organizations like this do their work because they're supporting community. And for me, I want to, at the end of my life, whenever that may be, if I could say I helped at least one person, life well lived. I got the opportunity last year to start a scholarship for the previously incarcerated. Like, that excites me. That excites me more than saying I worked on commercials. And I did do that, actually. That part of my definition did happen. But I think that this, at the end of the day, I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to say I did something that helped someone be better. So I'm going to wrap all that to go. This is where I am today. I'm excited about where I am today. Happy to answer questions about this role and what there is, and know that many roles are available at Walmart. I'm just telling you my journey in terms of getting into corporate fair constituent relations, which was never expected. I didn't plan for this. I just either said yes, or I hesitantly said, okay, and got to see what happened. So I'm going to go through the chat for a moment to answer some of these questions really quickly. And Anita, you might have to help me because some of them are coming kind of fast. I think I saw one about majors.
Yeah, everybody's inspired by your story for sure. Great story you have. I don't see any real quick questions, but they love your energy. Great story. Great message that you shared. So that's great, Regine. Okay, so I think we'll come back. We'll have time for questions at the end. Yeah, amazing story. Love the progress and how you presented it to us. Love your hair, by the way.
I will put my email in the chat. Feel free to email me at any time. Absolutely no problem. And hair love is real. Love your hair in any form that you want it. I'm a big believer of the Crown Act. So please, curls, no curls, straighten, don't straighten, weave, no weave, wig, no wig. Do what you do. I love it.
That's
Speak
so
to y'all soon.
Okay, Daniela. Thank you, Regine.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Hope you can
Regine.
stay with us a little bit.
Thank you, Regina Walmart, for all your support of our organization. I really enjoyed learning about what you do. Next, I have the pleasure of introducing Kimberly Rometto, Vice President and Chief Information Officer for the Miami Dolphins. Kim enters her third season with the Miami Dolphins and Hard Rock Stadium, responsible for managing and directing the technology initiatives and strategic direction of information technology. During her first year with the Miami Dolphins, Kim led data center modernization and cybersecurity hardening efforts in preparation for hosting the Super Bowl. Kim was recognized as a 2018 Women in Technology Women of the Year Awards honoree. Kim, welcome and thank you for taking time to be with us today.
Good morning. Thank you so much for the introduction. I appreciate it. Sorry, that was a mouthful. I'm working on my hair love. I'm just gonna say it. Like, I have curly hair. I don't really know how to manage it. I'll take any tips anybody's got or product recommendations because I'm 40 years old and I still haven't figured this out. So anyway, it sometimes it takes a little bit of time, ladies. Thank you so much for having me. Using the chat or coming off mute. What do you really think I do? What do you think a chief information officer actually does? Research. There's some emerging technologies. Definitely do some research there. Find the correct products for your hair. Okay, I will research that one too. Data analyzing. Yes, there's some of that absolutely goes on. So I thought what I would do is actually share a brief video. It's 2 minutes. It came out yesterday that talks about what we've been doing to get ready for the race that was mentioned earlier and the work that we've been doing there by Catherine. So I'm going to share my screen, and I know video is a little choppy over Zoom, but I hope you all can enjoy it. Can you see my screen?
I just made you a co-host, Kim, so you should be able to see it now.
Okay, let me know when you can see it and I'll start the video.
We can see it.
Great.
It is the fan as a creator. We want them to be, dreamers, and we want them to share their experience through their lens with the whole world. And it's my job to make sure that they are able to do that. Kim Rometo. I'm the Vice President and Chief Information Officer for Miami Dolphins, Hard Rock Stadium, the Miami Open, and the Formula One Miami Grand Prix. The paddock area where the teams are, the garages, everything there. We have the broadcast compounds, we have the race control tower, we've got all of the fan areas, we have the media center. Each of those areas come into really creating that event overlay that Dory and her team work so hard on. So we take that event overlay, and then we have the technical requirements that go into those pieces. The staff will expand from being a typical staff of 24 people to being staff of hundreds to pull off this execution. So fan experience is not guaranteed, it's engineered. And really what we do with that engineering is we look at where every densification area is. And that's every grandstand, every place where we expect a large number of people to congregate, and then we engineer for that space. So working with our partner Verizon, we're adding 7 cellular towers across the property that will have 4G, 5G. Let's face it, if you're here, you want to tell the whole world you're here, and you can't tell the whole world you're here if your cell phone doesn't work. That's all what it's about, is just taking each of those experiences and engineering them appropriately. Anyone who comes to work here because they love producing world-class live events. And almost nothing in the world is as big as Formula One. If you want to be in a job like this, you have to love the event. You have to love seeing the event come to fruition and the entire build process to get there. And once it's over, then raise a glass of champagne because you did it right, you did it well. And what lessons can we learn to do it even better the next year?
So hopefully that was informative. And all of that is really to say that there is no typical day. Some days I'm working on construction. Some days I'm working on densification. Some days I'm working on fan experience and trying to get people to move around the building. Some days I'm working on cybersecurity, and no one succeeds alone. So all of that is done with a team of really incredible people to get where we are today. So I'm going to just back up a little bit and tell you, I never intended to work in sports. That was a hesitant yes from the previous conversation. And I didn't go into college with a technology major. I got to school. I went in as a mass communications major, but how you talk to people, the relationships you build with people. And I found that I wasn't challenged. I was kind of bored, and I knew I was spending like a lot of money that I have to pay back. And I wanted to understand what could challenge me. And so I went and talked to my advisor, and college advisors are amazing. Please, 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 when you're in school, make a relationship with your academic advisor. And I went and talked to my advisor. I said, I'm not challenged. What can I do? And my advisor said, hey, there's this, management information systems program. I think you'd really like it. It's not easy, but you should give it a try. Sign up for the introductory course. And sure enough, it was hard. It was really bloody hard. There were nights where I was in the engineering lab at 3 o'clock in the morning and I was crying because my code wouldn't compile. But there was something wonderful about overcoming an obstacle. There was something really great about just understanding that if you really put the focus into something, you could create something better. I was one of only 8 women in the program, so there weren't a whole lot of other women to lean on for support, and that was a little challenging. And I didn't graduate with a 4.0. But you know what? Nobody has ever asked me my GPA. And when I got into the working world, I went to intern as an AT&T intern, and it clicked. What I had learned in the classroom clicked into my professional experience, and I fell in love. I didn't love it at the start. I didn't have that passion. I was curious, and I think curiosity is a wonderful attribute to have, because if you're curious, things will come. But once I got into the career field, once I could go and I saw Honeywell production factory, I got to talk to people at Amex, and I'm like, I love this. I love solving problems, and I love using technology to solve those problems. So I worked my way up in my career, started off very basic, understanding, and over the last 16, 17 years, I've worked my way up and really tried to think about things holistically and to try to understand how technology could make an experience better. We talk about having frictionless experiences. That's the word we use. So how can I remove any burden or barrier so you make sure you have a great experience at our venue or other places? So like I said, never intended to work in sports either. I was in the trade show and events. So hospitality, I know somebody asked in the chat earlier about a hospitality degree. Awesome. Hospitality is fantastic. Hospitality transitions really well to sports and entertainment as well. And I was working for a trade show company, and I got a call to interview with the Miami Dolphins. And I thought they were joking. I said, I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong person. I've never worked in sports. I like football. In fact, I really like football, which is a good thing. But I don't know anything about sport technology. And they said, how big are the events you put on, Kim? And I said, well, the biggest events I do are 100,000 people over 8 days. And the recruiter laughed and he said, this is 65,000 people for 4 hours. You're going to be just fine. And sure enough, my experience translated, just like previous conversations, Tyson to Walmart, the experience still translates across the different industries when you may not think that it does. And that was really, really fantastic for me, because I had serious imposter syndrome coming into this job. I'm like, I said yes to this job. People are going to figure out that I can't do this. And I'm going to have to go back with my tail between my legs because I moved here from Atlanta, and I'm going to be embarrassed. It's going to be awful. And then once I started talking, you realize really quickly how many people are invested in you succeeding. Nobody wanted to see me fail. Nobody wanted to present roadblocks. Everybody wanted to come and talk about their challenges. And within the first, 60, 90 days, I realized like, I can do this. I can absolutely do this. And I think I can do it pretty darn well. And that's been great. And we've continued to grow the team. We've continued to add, tennis and racing and all of these other things. We support the Hurricanes. And so every day feels like something different. And I love that so much. So that's a little bit about my journey. I agree. The hesitant yes is okay. And even if you think maybe I can't do this, it's okay to think that you can. And also it is okay if something is hard. If it doesn't come naturally to you, that's all right. It doesn't mean you're not supposed to do the thing. It just means you've got to give a little more effort to get past the obstacle. So anyway, I hope that's helpful, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And for those that will be coming out on the field trip, I think I'll get the privilege of meeting with you, and I look very forward to that.
Great, Kim. Thank you so much. Great video. Love the video. Just a great big picture overview. Really explains your role very well. Does anybody have any questions?
So that's an interesting one that Adriana, I think, just put in. The obstacle is getting the actual interview. That absolutely can be an obstacle. And so what I would recommend, if there's a position that you see, go through the official process, do the application, do what you're supposed to do, but then reach out to people who work at that organization on LinkedIn. Reach out and say, hey, can I understand more about what it is that you do and how I can successfully get into the organization? If you only apply and don't do anything else, you don't stand out in a sea of what could be thousands of candidates. And with a job like the Dolphins, we literally get thousands of resumes for entry-level jobs. So thinking about how you can differentiate yourself, how people can notice you is really impressive. I am the CIO for the Hard Rock Stadium, the Dolphins, and the Formula One Miami Grand Prix, not the overall Formula One, because that's based over in Europe, but for the one here in Miami, I'm that one too. And yes, and I think that's hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you so much, Kim. So I really look forward to also meeting you, hopefully soon in person when we come to the stadium. Okay, so it's my pleasure now to introduce to you Shelley Longstrom. Shelley is the Assistant Director of Special Events at Southern Glaciers Wine and Spirits. Hi, Shelley.
Hello.
Before joining Southern Glaciers, Shelley completed a year-long marketing internship with the Miami Marlins. She began her career at Southern Glaciers in June of 2013 and is extremely proud of one of her latest accomplishments, which is a little bit ago now, but she was placed in the top 3 in her company wide diversity and inclusion competition. In her current role, Shelley oversees product operations and secures and manages Southern Glaciers supplier participation in the Food Network and Cooking Channel South Beach Wine and Food Festival presented by Capital One. Shelley manages large format company meetings and events. She manages special projects and handles many charitable product donations. She grew up in California. Welcome, Shelley. Thanks for coming back.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you for having me today and the lovely intro. So I'm going to just kind of pick up where you left off. I am the Assistant Director of Special Events at Southern Glaciers Wine and Spirits. We are the world's largest distributor of beverage alcohol and a family-owned company and a charitable partner of Women of Tomorrow. So I'm very honored to be here and share my story with you today. I'm going to talk a little bit about my life and kind of how I got here today into this role and, and living in Miami. And I think it can relate to some of you ladies on this call. So yeah, I grew up in California in Vacaville, which is a city about 30 minutes east of Napa Valley or 30 minutes south of Sacramento. I played soccer most of my life growing up in high school and throughout college. And I was predominantly raised by my mom. My dad always worked night shifts. So I really kind of consider my mom raising me and my 2 brothers alone since he wasn't a very involved parent. My parents eventually split in 2010 when I was a sophomore in college. So if anybody's on this call has ever gone through something like that, I feel for you. It's definitely not easy. I'm also the only person in my family other than my uncle to have earned a bachelor's degree. So that is something I'm extremely proud of, and education is always the way to go. I made doing well in school a priority after experiencing once in junior high, not doing my homework and doing well on a test, and it just never made me feel good. And I remember that feeling and I never wanted to feel that way again. So after that, I pushed myself to do well in school, and I ended up graduating college cum laude. So I came a long way, and it's definitely paid off. As high school was coming to an end for me and my college search was beginning, I visited college up and down the coast of California, and I ended up choosing California State University, Monterey Bay. I chose this school personally because it gave me the best opportunity to play soccer, and it was something that I wanted to do, and I wasn't ready to give that up yet. It also had better financial options and the location. It was close to a beach, and I really liked that, and far enough away from home, but not too far. I also had no idea what I wanted to do going into college. Like many have a passion for something. I really didn't have a certain passion for anything other than sports. So I ended up just choosing business. Me and my mom came to the conclusion that was really the best thing and best route to go because it's so versatile and you can use it in all industries, and it applies to so much in life. But my life really changed when I decided to study abroad in Barcelona, Spain in 2009. And this really opened up my eyes to the international world and other cultures. And it really just developed my love for the Latin and Spanish world. And from this experience, I decided to major in international business and management and a minor in Spanish. So after college, I didn't know next steps either, but I figured the 2 best things that I knew were sports and business. So I ended up reaching out or just finding online actually at the time that the Marlins were hosting a job fair in Florida. So my mom's like, go for it, fly out there, go interview, go see what it's about. And I was very lucky because I landed the marketing internship and moved to Miami in January of 2012. After that, I was thinking about my next steps, and I always knew about Southern Glaciers. This company was kind of fun and attractive to me, and it was the wine and spirits world and hospitality, and it really grabbed my attention. And I think, like other ladies have said today, like I wanted to do something I knew was fun and that I wanted to go to work every day and enjoy myself. And wine and spirits just seemed like the right thing for me. So I applied for the special events coordinator position that they had open, and I got that role in 2013, and I worked my way up over the last 9 years to the assistant director of special events, and also being the supplier manager for the Food Network and cooking channel South Beach Wine and Food Festival. I think some tips that have really just helped me along the way, that may be helpful for you, is just always being prepared for my interviews, doing the company research, knowing about them, knowing what they stand for, especially today. It's changed a lot with DEI, and make sure when you're looking at these companies that they do have policies and that it's something that they do care about, because I think it's extremely important. Ask questions and network. Anytime you get a chance to network, I think it's probably the most useful thing for finding and getting jobs. It's just getting that foot in the door. So kind of what does SGWS and the events and hospitality world look like? So Southern, we work with suppliers, and you may see these products if you're old enough or just at grocery stores, but we work with suppliers like Tito's Handmade Vodka, Bacardi. Some of you guys might know Dwayne Wade, a former Heat player. We represent his wine and distribute it into bars, restaurants, retail stores like Target and Publix. We probably work with UPS and FedEx on flying wine from Europe into the States. So where you see a wine display in a store, I can almost guarantee you that was a Southern Glaciers merchandiser who built that display for everybody to see when they walk in. And we are currently in 44 different states around the US and Canada. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. So to me, hospitality, I feel, is really, customer service positions. We're here to create experiences and bring people together. And any of these positions can be something from the hotel industry, working at a bar or restaurant, cruise lines, events, and a lot of other areas of the tourism industry. What drew me to the hospitality was kind of, like I said, just being around people, bringing them together and creating those lifetime memorable experiences. And, that to me is really being hospitable. I think some good skills to have in this industry: communication, multitasking, attention to detail, adapting, problem solving, and now a big one I think is cultural awareness. This industry was definitely always male dominated, and I think we're starting to see a lot more females, which is super exciting. And we need more of that representation in this industry. And I think another great thing about being in hospitality is it really has opportunities abroad and globally. So there's really no place you can't go when hospitality is involved. The hotel industry, the wine and spirits industry, everything like that. It's so global. But I do think hands-on experience in this industry, if you can volunteer for a festival, like Kim was stating, F1's coming here. I know that they usually take people to help with these kinds of things, and whether it's greeting people or in ticketing and scanning tickets and things like that. Nothing compares to having hands-on experience in an event, because it's just so valuable to an employer when they're looking to hire someone. In my role at Southern Glaciers, I handle all of our large company events and meetings, which is venue contracts with the host hotel, scheduling speakers, event programming, being creative, bringing new innovative ideas to the market, to the industry, to our festivals, presenting sponsorship opportunities to our suppliers, getting their brand awareness out there. And then, the operations and logistics side, when I have my role with the festival, which happens in February, we have to pull product from our warehouse, get it to Miami, get that labeled, and then schedule it with our truck drivers to be delivered to a certain account on the right day, and make sure everything there is accounted for. So it takes a lot of attention to detail so you don't miss any little mistakes there. Anita, if you have it, or if you want to make me the co-host, I have a little sizzle reel I'm going to show you of the South Beach Wine and Food Festival from this February.
Great, Shelley, thank you. You're co-host, but I'm gonna share my screen.
Okay.
Just give me a second here.
So if you're not familiar, too, the South Beach Wine and Food Festival takes place usually every 3rd or 4th week of February every year on the beach in South Beach. And it is the #1 food and wine festival in the nation.
Slide view, right? Is that what we want? Oh, no, sorry.
And all of our proceeds of this festival are donated to FIU, Florida International University, to the Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management.
There we go, Shelley.
Perfect. Go ahead and go to the next slide, which is our sizzle reel. And this will just give you a little insight into what our festival's like, all around food and wine. So I know it's hard to hear, but some of these chefs that you see in here, Guy Fieri, that was Emilio Estefan. So we get a lot of different people and all types of cultures out there. And we're definitely growing as a festival. And one of our biggest initiatives through this year and next year and continuing forward in the future is just making sure that we do have more diverse brands and representation and chefs. So if anybody has any good ideas, or Regine, we'd love to host you. You should come out. Maybe we can do something with Walmart. We'd love to have you. Tortuga, I was there too. That's one of my favorite music festivals in South Florida. But Anita, go ahead and go to the next slide and I'll just give you a couple background facts. We'll go through this quick and then keep us on track. So today, yeah, we've raised more than 32 million for the hospitality school. And if you don't know about FIU and the Chaplin School, specifically this hospitality program, they graduate more Black, Hispanic, and international students than any other hospitality school in the country. So if any of you guys are interested in attending or going into this college, I have at the very last slide some people you can reach out to, or myself, and I'd be happy to connect you. We have more than 1,400 student volunteers running SOBI WFF, which is pretty impressive. You know, we really try to give the students at the school hands-on experience. Next slide, please. This was just kind of a slide really quickly to show the partnership between FIU and Southern Glaciers and how it kind of came about. We started a beverage management center there in 1998. So we do a lot of wine and education classes there. Recently, Bacardi came on and they actually do a whole spirits program. So if you're interested in just the spirits world, you can actually go to FIU now and major in spirits with Bacardi. And the next slide, yep. These are just some fun facts about, you know, what South Beach Wine and Food Festival does for our community. We were estimated to bring in 34 million to the actual Miami-Dade, which is one of the highest amount of any festival in the state of Florida. We have about 60,000 guests. Most of them are from Florida, but they do come from New York, some from Europe. And we have over 400 chefs and winemakers that come in for this to produce about 90 events in 3 days. Go ahead, next slide, please. These are just some partnerships that we have in the community. We work with the Lowe's Hotel, Nikki Beach, the Miami Design District. We started a new series there where we host an event there each night. This year we had like steak and whiskey, and then we had an Italian event, and those have been really popular. And then the Fountain Blue Miami Beach. Some of our wine and spirit suppliers here is Bacardi is one of our biggest, King Street Vodka, which is a new vodka brand by Kate Hudson, women owned. So these are some of our minority owned brands now, and Casa del Sol Tequila, which is owned by Eva Longoria. And then this is just highlighting some of our diverse brands and events this year. We have a drag brunch with Neil Patrick Harris. Dwayne Wade hosted some events with his wine, Kate Hudson, and then Eva Longoria participating in our grand tasting events, which is our largest signature event of the festival. So here are some contacts if you guys are interested in reaching out to anybody. If you're interested in volunteer for the festival, you do have to be 18 and up to work on the wine and spirits side, but 16 and up to handle food or doing kitchen prep or anything like that. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you have any other questions about my role at Southern or the festival or how you can get involved, please reach out. And I think my last little tip, that, everybody's kind of been giving. I just think believing in yourself and having good self-esteem can take you farther than you can ever imagine. Just believing in yourself and loving yourself, I think, is something that every woman needs to have in their life, because it's so, so, so important to value yourself.
Thank you so much, Shelly. That was great.
Thank you.
I'm happy to now introduce Dr. Saridakis, currently on the faculty as a clinical instructor at the Mount Sinai School of Medicine, Elmhurst Hospital, Department of Surgery. Dr. Saridakis has a wealth of surgical experience, including supporting the work of the American Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders. She is also a member of Tiffany Circle, a network of women philanthropists inspired by American Red Cross. She is a member of the American Board of Surgeons and was recognized in 2021 by the American Red Cross, Broward County, with their Humanitarian Award.
Hi, thank you very much. That was a very nice introduction. I am happy to be here today and happy to talk to all the young ladies that are here to listen to us discuss our various careers. I don't have an organized presentation. I'm just gonna talk about why I've done what I've done, what it's like to be a surgeon, and what I think entails a complete team that a surgeon depends on, because there's a lot of career options in being part of a surgical team that I think you ladies should consider or be aware of. So I went to University of Miami School of Medicine. Before that, I should mention, a graduate locally of the Miami Norland Senior High School. Very proud. And after residency, after I should say medical school at University of Miami, I did a residency that is a training period in general surgery and a fellowship in trauma surgery to specialize in trauma surgery, not just the general surgery that I do as well. It is a job that I absolutely love doing. There are times that I'm tired, but there are never times that I regret doing what I've decided to go into. I am very dependent in my role as a surgeon, as an attending or chief surgeon of my team when I'm on call for a trauma team, for example. Very dependent and very appreciative of the roles that all the members of the team play. And I'd like to discuss those a little bit in some detail, because like I said, it's not just me as a surgeon that I hope you think about as a career option, but any one of the roles of being a member of a trauma team or an OR team. So when we have a trauma team, when we have a patient come in critically injured, whatever their injury is, there's an emergency room team and there's a surgery team, and I'm part of the surgery team. The surgery team is down there to try to expedite identifying life-threatening injuries that we can actually impact or try to reverse by doing surgery, becoming engaged as surgeons. The team includes residents who are doctors in training, like I was for 5 years, or fellows, which is the specialty training that you do for 1 to 2 years afterwards to become a trauma surgeon. They also include, very importantly, the nurses and nurses' aides that help us during what we call a trauma code. The nurses help with hanging blood, putting in IVs, communicating anything that they observe during the process of a trauma code. And they are, I wouldn't say helpful members, I would say equal members of the team. The nursing assistants are also very important, and they can do things like bring the blood to the bedside so that we can administer it to the patient. They can bring equipment to the bedside so that we can do emergency surgeries. Besides these roles, once we take a patient, if we take a patient up to the operating room, we're very, very reliant on the surgical technician who may or may not be a nurse, as well as the nurse who's working in the operating room as what we call a circulator, making sure that we have everything we need into and bringing it to the operating table so that we can take care of this patient. The anesthesiologist and the nurse anesthetist are other members of the team that help in the resuscitation and care of this patient. So this is a snapshot of some of the careers that are open to you all in not just medicine surgery, but medicine nursing and medicine technologists. There's also, I should also mention, the CAT scan technologists and X-ray technologists that help us in assessing the injuries of the patient down in the emergency room before we bring them up to either the operating room or the intensive care unit. So I hope what you're getting from this is that there is a team effort involved. It's very important. I can't do what I do as a surgeon without my team. And that team is composed of multiple members at different, in different specialty positions in medicine and nursing that are super, super important. One of the drawbacks that I think students sometimes think about is that it's going to take a long time to go through college and then medical school and then residency. That's if you choose to go the route of becoming a surgeon. Yes, it's a number of years, but the years pass and you're still doing during your training, during medical school, during your residency, during your fellowship, you're still doing what you love doing. But you're also in a more formal relationship with senior teachers that are teaching you while you're doing what you're loving to do. I have had the privilege of doing work with Doctors Without Borders. I've been to countries overseas like Rwanda, Burundi, worked near Darfur several years ago. I've been to Haiti and I've been to Sri Lanka. And again, it was incredibly important, the team effort, where the mission could survive based on the work that we all did together for each individual patient. And that included nurses, and it included, which I failed to mention earlier, of course, administrators that are also very, very important in helping us to get things sorted out, like how do we transport patients, how do we transfer patients, how do we bring together all the resources that we need in order to bring the care that we can to the patient according to what their needs are. So there's a lot of amazing opportunities for careers in medicine. I happen to love the specific role of what I'm doing. I like to fix things with my hands, but I also really like taking care of patients. And one of the things that has been mentioned by some of my colleagues that spoke earlier is liking to, it's nice to be able to help people. So this is definitely the case in medicine. It's a wonderful thing to be able to help people when they're sick and injured, and basically to help them to feel better when they're not feeling well. So I think it's a great career option. I have no qualms about having chosen it, but as my colleagues before me said, there are definitely times that you think, I can't do this, this is too hard. And the truth of the matter is that you can do it. And it's a matter of believing in yourself, believing in the mission of what you do, and sticking to it. So I really would like to open it. Thank you, Margaret. I really would like to open it up to questions at this point. I wish I had some slides to present of individual patients that I've worked with. They're certainly very vivid in my memory, but I'd like to open it up to questions from the ladies that are listening.
There's a question, and Jaylene has her hand up. Jaylene, would you like to unmute yourself and ask the doctor a question?
Yes, hi. I had a couple of questions. That's why I didn't put it in chat. My first question was, how would you describe your experience in med school and residency? Like, would you describe it as difficult, exciting?
I would describe it as both, actually. It was many times it was difficult. There was a lot of studying, a lot of knowledge to learn, but it was also very exciting. The first year of medical school was pretty much book work, is how I think of it. In other words, studying, going to lectures, whether it be virtually or live, and anatomy lab, things like that. And I call that difficult, not because it was very, very hard. It's just material that you have to learn, and you don't have the connection yet to having interaction with your patients. But now, as early as second year of a 4-year medical school program, you come into contact with patients. And that is the really exciting part, because you start to see what you learned in your first year, what you continue to learn throughout your career actually becomes important and relevant to the care of specific, patients that you're caring for. And that's very exciting. It's very exciting to have the opportunity, and also very humbling, I should say, to participate in the care of another human being. So I think it's exciting.
So there's another question in the chat from Samia. She wants to become a dermatologist. Do you have any advice for medical school?
Absolutely. I'm going to give you the advice that I would give to all of you for the rest of your school year, and that is finish your homework, do all your assignments, read, study, so that you can be the best doctor that you can be, or the best at whatever you choose to be. But grades are not everything. And as long as I think we're doing our best in medical school, and beyond, and in high school and in college, I think that goes a long way to, I think, reiterate to ourselves that, what we're doing for ourselves and what we're doing perhaps for our future patients is really worth it. It justifies it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to answer.
Makes total sense. Thank you. And we have a last question here is, my last question is, can APRNs be a part of a surgical team? And what is their role in a hospital surgical team?
So it really varies from hospital to hospital, but they can do anything from seeing patients in the clinic to helping and assisting as a first assistant, in fact, the surgeon in the operating room. And it really depends on the positions that you interview for and what your passion is. Because when you're going through your training, your nursing training, you're going to have that experience of working in an operating room and that experience of working in a clinic, ideally different kinds of clinics, like a cancer care clinic, an injury clinic, a surgery clinic, things like that, a family practice clinic.
Great. And then the last question here, what suggestions do you have for students who are deciding which medical career to pursue?
Oh, that's a really good question and a tough one for me to answer. Again, a lot of the courses that you need in college are going to be the same ones. In other words, biology, some chemistry, for example. In terms of deciding what career do you want to do? Do you want to be a medical doctor or do you want to be a nurse practitioner? Keep your minds open as you're going through college and talk to people. And I'm gonna ask if, Anita, there's any way that you can give my email address to all the attending ladies today. Talk to people, ask them questions. This is what I really, Jane or Aretha or whatever your name is, really enjoy doing. What do you think, I might be better suited for? And don't take just one person's word for it. Your passion will guide you. I believe that.
Yes, great, Angelique. I will share your email in just a second. So thank you so much for being with us today. I hope you can stay for a few minutes longer. And we are now going to move into, we have a survey that we're going to share with the students before we head out into the breakout rooms. And Daniela will explain the breakout rooms. We are going to move into 3 different groups. So I want to take the opportunity to thank all of the speakers. If you're able to stay with us, please do. We have a team workshop, collaboration, personality, looking at our different skills, strengths. We'd love to have you if you can stay. And Gabby, would you like to mention about the survey?
Yes, so I put the link in the chat for the survey. We would just, if you could take a few minutes just to complete it while we set up the breakout rooms to commence the activity. Once the activity is completed, we will actually have a raffle and there are going to be prizes at the raffle. So hopefully we will see you back after the activity and after you fill in the survey. See if you want something.
Thank you, Gabby. And Daniela, I think you're going to explain the workshop before we go into the breakouts.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today and for staying through to the very end. So we're going to get into an interactive workshop. As Gabby stated, there is a link to the survey. It's in the chat box. If you can please complete that for us. So there will be a few raffles at the very end. If you stay with us for the workshop and complete the survey, we will use the survey entries to pick out our raffle winners. So for our interactive workshop, it is called True Colors. We're going to break up into 3 different breakout rooms. A group of you will stay in this breakout room with me. So I will have Broward County with me, and Miss Anita will have Palm Beach County, and Miss Gabby will have Dade County. So when you see a notification pop up on your screen with either the names Dade or Palm Beach, if you belong to either of those respective counties,